Figure poses, also known as reference photos, are what artists use to practice and improve their skills. And they're not always easy to find. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you different types of websites where you can access free figure poses, free anatomy photos, portrait pictures, and other types of reference images, animals, landscape, stuff like that. Now, there are different categories of sites that I'm going to show you. First, we'll have the timed reference photos, which are sites that simulate a class setting where you basically have a set amount of time to sketch a random pose and move on. Then we have the photo library, specifically designed for artists, where you can search up a specific pose, expression, or type of image. And then we have the general photo libraries, which are sites that have huge collections of images. Those are not specifically geared towards artists, but they can be really interesting. And then at the end, I'll be sharing 2 bonus websites that I came across whilst researching for this video that I was like, wow, these are so cool. They deal with 3D scans, muscle anatomy. So make sure to check those out as well. Now, for the timed sketch sessions, I've chosen 4 websites that I think you'll enjoy. So first we have reference.sketchdaily.net. This site has a super simple layout, and that's why I'm putting it first. Here's where you start. You can choose your category, and within those categories you have some options as well, and this is where you set your timer. And basically when all of that's set, just click start and you can start sketching away. Then we have Line of Action. It's a pretty popular site. There are the options, there's a community if you're interested in exchanging with other artists on the same path as you. Yeah, it's a pretty well-rounded site. I would definitely give it a try. Then we have Quick Poses. It's personally the site that I've used the most. Again, under timed practice, you can choose what category of image you want, the gender, the clothing, and then a time interval. Also, how many images you would like to draw during that session. You also have a category here with random poses, a whole library with images to choose from. So kind of what we're going to be looking at next. And then you also have the option to get a certificate. I think this is something really cool because sometimes it can be a nice motivator to know that you're working towards a certificate. Then we have Adorka Stock, which I decided to include because it feels slightly different than the other sites, like Homemade. Clearly has like the license statement, which you should always check if you're going to use them in paintings, drawings that you're going to sell later on. But I'm sharing these for like learning purposes only, and whatever goes beyond that, make sure you always check how the licensing works on the website or on the specific image. Sometimes you're gonna find the same image on different timed pose websites, whereas here, I haven't used it yet, but I feel like you're gonna have images you haven't seen yet, and it's gonna be a new challenge. I also love this suit. I think it can be a great help when you're starting out to learn about shapes and foreshortening, stuff like that. So yeah, it looks like a pretty interesting library of photos. So first up, we have fineart.sk. I included it because I find it has some interesting material for artists. However, I don't think the site is super intuitive. So this is where you choose your category. For example, 3D scans, female anatomy, Andrew Loomis anatomy books, which I don't even know, are you allowed to put these books online? But they're there at the moment, so it might help you out. Then we have ArtProf, which is a website packed with resources, but what I want to show you is their galleries. So here we're on their Flickr site, and as you can see, they have tons of different albums with all sorts of photos, fruit, vehicles, trees, landscape, textures, humans, plants. So if you're not into figure drawing, I hope you can find some other interesting subject matter on there. If you decide to use their images, you're free to modify and use it as reference as long as you credit them. But to make sure, I'd always go check back because I don't know if they'll change in the future. Photo reference for comicartist.com. This is, like the title says, a site for comic artists, illustrators, anyone looking for action poses. You have the different categories here. You can also refine your search. They have a free sample section, and then up here they have our other portals, which includes other interesting sites. And then we have Reference Angle, which is a more portrait-specific reference site. You can refine your search using a few criteria. The lighting is natural. I'd use it like to study facial features or like just quick portrait sketching but I wouldn't rely on it too heavily. It also doesn't have a clear license agreement, even when searching through the database, so I'd use it with caution. Moving on to the general photo libraries, we have Morguefile, which is a free photo archive by creatives for creatives. You can search whatever you want in the search bar. Before researching this video, I had never heard of it, and yeah, it seems like a pretty cool site. Then we have Pexels.com. Right here, I searched pose space reference, and these are the images it searched up for me. As you can see, these are different than the artist reference photos. Along with Pexels, we have Unsplash as well as Pixabay. Same concept, same everything. Search your image, check out the licensing if you're going to use it for other purposes, and that's that. And then we have Pinterest. Pinterest has amazing photographs, like the kind that's super inspiring, that makes you want to turn them into art, like do things with it. But that's where it gets tricky, because Pinterest is a website that hosts images from all over the internet, and if you decide to use an image from that site, it might be copyrighted, so you have to be really cautious with that. But all in all, I find Pinterest to be really inspiring. You can create huge collections of images you want to practice with. I use my Pinterest to gather inspiration. I also have my own collections on my profile. For example, a face collection with over 500 faces that I at some point thought would be really cool to sketch, or like my body board. Moving on to the bonus sites, Pose Maniacs looks a bit weird at first, but if you're looking to study muscles, muscle groups, this may be interesting. It's a site with these types of CG models, some random face references too. For the anatomy poses, you can go down and choose from tons of different categories filled with dynamic poses, which is just so amazing. I'll show you how it works. So if you click on one of these, you can choose between male and female. You have the model here. You can move around the whole entire model, view the different muscles. You can choose to add a grid. You can choose to add a bounding box, which also can be super helpful to beginners. Look how easy that gets once you add a bounding box. Adding a floor grid, looking at the negative space can also be super helpful. It just feels made for someone wanting to study this stuff. You can change the viewing angle, and then you can change the lighting around. If you don't like the way the model looks in red, you can also choose color, obviously, which we just had, or gray, and you can view it that way. So did you know about that site? What do you think of it? And lastly, we have Bodies in Motion. Just looking at it, I was like, wow, this site is so cool. And obviously a huge part of this site is paid, but there also are some free options. You can go up to browse and choose motions. For example, you can select the free option. So I'll show you that. And then you can skip through the images and see how the motion happens, and also go through each pose and select the poses you want to sketch, or actually sketch the whole sequence. You can have a really good look at the shapes of the body, at the folds of the cloth, on the timed reference size. But here you can choose your pose. And then we can also go to 3D scans. Let's take a look at the ear. It's not a real life model, but it's pretty close to that. And you can manipulate it in space. You can manipulate the angle. You can manipulate the lighting. And yeah, you can do that with all of the free 3D scans on their site. Then you can also have some facial expressions, some really old motion photos, a section where you can view other artists' artwork. This site kind of stole it from me, and I'll definitely be using it to learn in the future. If you have any tips or free reference sites that I didn't mention, please share them in the comments so that other people looking for more can check those out. And other than that, happy sketching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!